Hi everybody, it's Catherine. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you a Frankenstein inspired mani for Halloween, and this is taken from the literature collection number 7, this plate from MoU London. Really love those literature plates. And on my nails I have prepped with this beautiful deep green from Smith & Colt, Darling, and then the lighter kind of matcha color green is from Ducato, and it's 72 Summer Khaki. That's one of the ones that I got in Japan. So I'm going to go in first with this kind of brain in a jar image, and I'm using my Model's Own Silver Chrome for this. I'm going to kind of do a shadow effect with the jar. So I'm going to try and show you everything in real time, real-ish time anyway, because I feel like I skip over a lot of steps when I'm doing reverse stamping and stamping in general. So none of this is sped up. So I'm removing the brain from the inside of the jar. That sounds really gross, but that's what I'm doing. I'm just using a little bit of lint roller tape, but masking tape would be fine, and just gently kind of taking out all of those details. I really want to create a kind of a B-movie retro vibe with this mani. So that's the kind of vibe that I'm getting off the literature plate. So yeah, I want to have different colors and things like that, but those kind of muted colors from the 50s, if you know what I mean. So this jar is a little bit oversized for my nail. It's a little bit tight. Sorry if you can hear the bells of the church in the background, but it's perfect for Frankenstein, I guess. Warn the villagers, the monster's coming. Yeah, so I've put the jar down. Now it was a little bit faint, so I am going to go back in with a black later on. I'll show you that. This black actually from Born Pretty. It's my favorite black stamping polish at the moment, and this time I just want the brain, so I'm not too fussy if I don't get the whole jar, and I am going to just remove the jar from the image this time, and you'll see me do that now in a second. The brain is really cool actually. There, through the magic of editing, there's the brain. Now this is where I kind of wanted to zoom in and show you how I do this. These reverse images can be a little bit tricky actually, ones that are just kind of a solid block of colour, because the polish can pool a little bit and that can create bubbling on the nails. By the way, I'm using a pink from an Essence Trend collection years ago. It's a nice kind of dusty kind of pink. I thought it was good per brain pink colour, kind of cartoon brain pink colour. But yeah, I'm using my dotted curing tool here. Now, as you can see, it does pool a little bit. It will take a little bit longer to dry out. Just make sure that it is dried out completely. I don't top coat my image before I put it on the nails. I've just kind of got used to how it looks when it should go on the nail, and I'll show you that in more detail later on. I know what consistency I need it to be. I don't like top coating and then using that image kind of like a decal effect. I don't like that. I don't use that anymore. I know that might be controversial, but that's just the way I do it. I'm just used to it now. A lot of this is kind of figuring out what you like and kind of getting into your own habits and routines and knowing what your nails are like. So my hands are always kind of sweaty anyway, so it's kind of that kind of changes things up for me a little bit. So yeah, now I'm going in with the black jar. So this time I'm going to remove the brain again, but we're going to have, I think it kind of deepens up the image a lot, and I actually quite like the silver effect of the jar. Kind of gives a reflective quality against the black. So as usual, excellent filming. I mean, I really need to figure out my setup because I'm trying to do my mani properly and record it. I'm not very good at this, folks, but I'm just showing you because people always want to know or always want to see the nail art done. So I'm sorry, I'm not the best at this. I'm going in now with some text for my middle finger. I'm using a quote from The Monster, and these plates are really, really good. The images pick up very, very well. The stamper I'm using from Born Pretty is just tacky enough to pick up the fine details of the lettering, but they're very, very well etched. So if you're looking for good quotations from Frankenstein and Dracula and any of the others that they have in their collection, Pride and Prejudice, I think, you should have a look at those literature plates. Also, just in certain words that you might want, I'll show you what I'm going to use that for later on. I just needed exactly one word from this. These literature plates can be handy. So I went in with black first, and now I'm going in with silver to give that kind of shadowed effect. It's kind of hard to see on camera against the dark green, but it was easier to see in person. And the quote is, "Evil henceforth became my good," and that is a quote from The Monster. And then I decided that the quote just looked a little bit bare. It didn't have that kind of 50s B-movie feel for me, that kind of crowded movie poster effect. So I just stamped around some of those bolts from the plate, just kind of very carefully manipulated them around the image, the quote there. So here we have the brain. Now here's the consistency that I'm looking for. No pooling. I've slowed this down a little bit. It's still tacky, but you can see it's more or less flat. So it's not going to smear or anything like that when I put it on the nail. It just looks nice and flat and it's still tacky. This takes about, depending on the image, I think this took about 8 to 10 minutes. So it really will depend on your climate, what kind of temperature you're in, all that kind of thing. And again, it is just trial and error, but I just feel like it goes on way better than if I top coated it. That's just a personal preference. I know everybody does this differently, but yeah. Now I had to use Frankenstein's monster himself in the middle of this plate. I love this image. These images can be a little bit tricky because there's so much black space. So it took a few efforts to try and make sure that I got him completely solid, but I was really happy with the result. And there he is on my pointer, which is a little bit, it's starting to curl. They're starting to get a little bit long there. You can hear my throat isn't completely back to normal. And now I'm going in with Uber Chic's Halloween plate number 3, and I'm going to try out this DIY kind of effect they have on their plates. So if you don't want to do reverse stamping, here's a DIY kind of plate for you. So you go in with the yellow first, you stamp that on the fingernail, which I forgot to record. Then you go in with the white, you stamp that over it. So this is all about alignment. So this is, I think I still prefer reverse stamping, but I like the idea here that you can build up in layers rather than try and reverse stamp. So you see the white goes over the yellow and then the black goes around the white, which against the dark green you may not be able to see, but again in person the effect was really good. And I wanted to capture the yellow eyes of Frankenstein's monster. Again, I just felt this is a little bit bare, it needs something else. So I went back into my Moyu literature plate and I looked at the word fear. Now it's going to be too long for my nail, so I decided to split it up. So I took the letters FE first. You see there that I swiped away from the AR so I don't have to clean the plate twice. And then I did AR obviously, and I just manipulated them around the eye. So you'll see now in a sec, there you go. So I just added fear, and I think that really kind of has that cool kind of retro B-movie effect that I really wanted to go for with this manicure. And again, that's just handy. Those single words can be really handy from that literature collection. Now I'm going in with OPI's Silver Shatter, which is a shatter polish. It needs a little bit of a shake up though. And I'm really enjoying the silver green combination. So I decided to use that shatter polish over the green on my thumb. I just thought that would look super cool. And just, you know, don't do what I do here, which is to go over the polish too many times. I'm used to this polish, so I knew I could get away with it. But you do have to work pretty quickly. This is in real time again. You do have to work pretty quickly, and you'll see the shatter effect happens very, very quickly. So if you don't have one of these polishes, I would recommend the OPI versions. I just think they are the best ones to work with for beginners with a shatter polish, and I love this effect. It looks super creepy, and I think it works perfect for the Frankenstein kind of atmosphere and mood that I was trying to create. And then I went in with my trusty Moyu non-smudge top coat. This is my second bottle, and I've ordered 3 more because I love them so much. They're just brilliant. They're really, really good. They don't smudge the manicure at all. And the only thing I will say is it's a little bit sticky. So as soon as I got any in my cuticles, because I like to get right to the edge, I went in with my cleanup stick from, or my cleanup pen from Essence, just to clean that off. I'm just used to working with this stuff now at this stage. And what I will say is the Born Pretty Black, even with this non-smudge top coat, I do need to leave it dry a little bit because it's very thick and opaque, so it does smudge sometimes, but usually I go in with a thicker kind of coat and a lighter touch. touch. So that's it. That is my Frankenstein's monster or Frankenstein inspired manicure. I should have said it's one of my favorite books. I do teach this book. I love it. It's perfect coming up around Halloween. If you haven't read it in a while, I'd urge you to read it again. And I will actually leave a channel down below that has started reading this book, The Well Told Tale. And I think it's a really good narration of the story. So guys and girls, let me know what you think of the mani in the comments down below, and I will talk to you all again very, very soon. Bye bye.